Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his creeper bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge, I fought the troll.
Right, hello and welcome to episode 19 of the TechBytes audiocast for Thursday, December the 16th. This is going to be a lot shorter audiocast than normal, and it's quite impromptu as well. I've just come back from work and we've got a few things we want to put out today, so we're going to be covering some of the news that's hit the mainstream media over the past few days. Roy's going to be leading the show. Apologies to everybody who's expecting Gordon. Like I said, this show's impromptu, so Gordon's not about at the moment, so we'll be sorely missed during this episode, but hopefully be back very shortly. So without further ado, Roy, I'll throw the microphone over to you, and it's all yours.
Hi everyone. I was actually speaking to Tim just about half an hour ago. I thought we hadn't done a show for almost a week, and we have quite a bit of good news for Linux, especially when it comes to things like market share of the platform. One of the things that kind of surprised me for the better was that IDC, which is the I'm not sure how you define it with respect to IDG, which is a kind of a parent company or the company which then assigns tasks to IDC to do contracts with companies. They basically say that the market share of GNU/Linux on the desktop is 4%, and they expect it to stay 4%. But the fact that they talk about 4% agrees with the statement which was made by Gartner about 3 years ago, I think, and I saw it on Yahoo News at the time. And you might think it's a very insignificant news and you can just ignore it, but basically no. I mean, IDC was talking about 3% market share for Linux back in 2003, as far as I can recall. And here you have these analysts, which are usually very hostile towards Linux, and they usually do get payments from companies like Microsoft to query individuals in specific places with specific contracts with specific companies to give you the illusion that the market share of Linux in servers is actually pretty low compared to what it really is. And here they are talking to us about market share that's more than 4 times what the trolls or sometimes the mainstream media would like us to believe based on surveys which are more US-centered, US-centric and US-based and based on hits that come from other countries to US-based websites. That's usually the way they measure it. They measure the incoming traffic to a certain website or a certain network of websites in the United States, and they try to measure the operating systems and the locations, different locations around the world from which people come to the website in the United States. So here I wanted to just start a show by talking about market share. We had an almost dedicated show discussing the thought patterns, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt patterns that we come across as we go around the web and try to advocate free software. So maybe Tim has something to say about this, because I know he's been encountering quite a few trolls who repeat the 1%, the big lie of the 1% market share.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we only have to cast our minds back a few months. My memory's a bit fuzzy here, but it might be a little bit more than a few months. But there was that slide, the presentation that Steve Ballmer gave, which had Linux as between about 4 and 6%. I mean, I've said before in previous shows, a 4% market share has no surprise to me whatsoever, and I don't hold a lot of faith in statistics, but what I look at is when you go to tech forums and just generic tech chat rooms and see how many people are actually commenting about Linux and free software compared to those that may be using...
Not just in English even.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the Spanish ones, you'll see a different picture.
And the ratio there is certainly more than 4%, so that comes as no surprise to me. And I know that's not scientific, but that's just off personal experience. And in respect of the trolling, yeah, there's always certain topics which will attract trolls, and I'm always loathed to not write certain articles. I always have this worry that writing a certain article will attract a troll and it'll degenerate the entire thread into something just ridiculous, which is usually what happens. But then again, with these subjects that are tackled by the trolls, it's very interesting to see what they're looking at and what. I don't want to say riles them, but what certainly attracts them. Certainly the hot topic at the moment is Windows Phone 7 and developers. If you mention those two things together, you're bound to get certainly quite a few vulgar people approaching you. Another one is Steve Ballmer. Mentioned articles about him. Asked the question: Is he still popular? Or is he popular within Microsoft? Is he good for Microsoft? And you can guarantee that discussion, a seemingly innocent discussion, would bring the trolls. And then you've also got the M word, which I even feel loath to mention now, which is the mono word, and mention that. And again, it seems, and if I could, just to borrow the mic for a few minutes here, it seems that there's some unwritten rules about mono. And I did have a post that I was going to publish. Unfortunately, I've been so busy with the run-up to Christmas campaign that I haven't had a chance to get it finished. But it seems there's some unwritten rules when posting about mono on the internet. And the first one is quite an important one. It's if you don't use mono, and if you believe that there are some concerns in regards to patents involving mono, you're a troll instantly. You can't dare to say online that you don't use mono, because if you do, you're either a troll, a mono hater, a zealot, the list goes on. That's one of the first unwritten rules of mono. It also seems that when promoting mono, it's quite all right for its promoters to be vulgar, to be insulting and abusive. That's another thing I've noticed. Certainly, I've entered into quite a few discussions where the tone has changed very, very quickly to something very, very vulgar. To one extent, where one well-known person, who I'm not going to justify now by mentioning his name, but he became so vulgar that his girlfriend actually popped up on Twitter and told him to calm down his language. And I think that just highlights one of many examples I've had where the M word, I call it now, is mentioned, and you just can't get a sensible conversation out of anybody. So we have that, and like Roy says, there's a lot of FUD that goes
I had
around.
quite a lot of encounters this week, and Miguel de Icaza tried to sneak into the conversation and tried to demonize me. Basically, the statement I made, and I was trying to stay out of this discussion. I have one person going around the web now and basically embarrassing me in all kinds of ways, but I cannot really say this to the person because he thinks he's helping. So I've been trying to stay out of this. I don't really want to have any involvement with people who try to associate themselves with the site and insult people and annoy people, and it's a long story, and I don't really want to name names at the moment. But one thing I did say is that a lot of people in the mono camp, what they do now, especially now, because I've been arguing with them since 2006, and I've been having very long conversations with them. Sometimes over 100 comments on one post, including the person you've just mentioned whose girlfriend was popping in. I had very long conversations with him too. They basically lose the argument. I usually, in my opinion, I win the argument. And now they come to the stage where they just try to insult me personally on a completely off-topic basis. They try to insult the website as a platform. So they'll either criticize, I don't know, the name of the, they like to call it Boycott Novell, which is one of the campaigns we run. Or one of the things they'll do is they'll try to use myths about the site, about not having external links, which is not true, because in each post I have about 10 external links. I have lots of external links, and I have ways to find out things that I base my statements on. What they do try and do is say, well, this is TechBytes, so therefore it's not a valid source about Mono, which is just not true. It's a source, it's a website. Me personally, it has nothing to do with my message. So they attack the messenger, they attack the platforms, but they never attack the posts anymore. They never tackle the issues or show any falsehoods. And I asked them, please show me where I said something incorrect. And they're silenced. They don't have any statements against because I've been preaching about this topic for 4 years. I know the subject pretty well. but they come to the point where all they can do is try to insult me, then they start to retaliate and to insult people who link to the site. So if somebody mentions my site or